Welcome, 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 everybody, to episode 3 of this week's Gamer's Perspective. I'm your host, Refresh. How's everyone doing? Today, we have just quite a few topics to talk to you about today. I'm going to be solo host this weekend to my two other hosts. They were out. They had stuff to do today. However, the show must go on. So it's time. We're going to dive right into it. First thing we are going to talk about today is the Seattle home series. And nuts. It was pretty crazy. Let's go ahead and pull up the bracket. We're going to go over the bracket. And I'm going to go ahead and talk about either upsets and my prediction was wrong. I had high hopes in Seattle this weekend. But let's jump over here. So Seattle home series was a great tournament series. A couple of upsets that happened. It looks right though. The bracket looks right for the event. I feel like if you look at London Royal Ravens had significantly better time this go around as far as winning matches and being consistent throughout the whole event. Scraps and Wiskins looked crazy good all weekend, not dropping much. So London Royal Ravens, the first round of round one. Let's just go over winners round. First winners round, we have London versus New York. Not New York. Holy moly, LA. We have London versus LA. LA Gorillas came out with a fight here pretty early. LA is the worst seeded team in the league, possibly. They have the least amount of points. So for them to take 2 games off of London Royal Ravens was a big surprise, especially how London performed after that. I feel like Gorillas actually showed a lot more promise this weekend than they ever have. They were really strong. They were actually really strong in the respawns, which doesn't happen very often. But the next set was Seattle Surge versus New York. I want to say it was the domination. Yeah, Seattle Surge won the domination game 3. So they would have had to do a reverse sweep against New York. New York should have won that. Obviously, I was rooting for Seattle the whole time. But then you go to winners round 2 and round 1 in Group B. You have Paris versus Chicago. That's pretty normal. I feel like Paris is definitely capable of taking games off Chicago, and they did. Chicago moves on 3-1. This was the first day that Chicago had played in tournament with Persini, aka Arcides' twin brother. So that roster, you could see it taking shape on Friday. I feel like Friday was they didn't start off as hot as I thought they could have, but they started off really well for adding someone new to the roster. And I mean, it was kind of last minute. They only really had about a week of preparation, so it was really cool to see that. Then you had Minnesota versus LA Optic. And holy moly, that game 5 came all the way down to the wire. I actually predicted that set would go to the wire and that it would go in that way. And then with that being said, let's go to Group A knockout match, and it was LA Gorillas versus Seattle Surge. LA Gorillas versus the Seattle Surge. Seattle Surge before this tournament were 4-0 versus LA Gorillas. So Seattle was a heavy favorite. However, they were trying something different. Seattle Surge was actually the first team in the CDL to actually use substitutions mid-set. So they had Pander playing in the Search and Destroys, and they had Enable playing in the Respawns. And honestly, I don't think it was a terrible idea. I think they looked pretty good in the New York set. However, I don't believe they did that during the LA Gorilla set. Maybe if they would have kept that up, maybe just kept the pattern. You really need to provide consistency for your team, so that way your teammates know what to expect and kind of go around. But LA Gorillas ended up taking that set, and honestly, it was really convincing. It wasn't. I don't think Seattle was pretty close, and I feel like Seattle really struggled this whole weekend to get anything going. They were trying something new, but I don't believe this was the event to try something new. Seattle Surge, their next event, their pool is looking rough. From what I remember, I believe it's Minnesota, Dallas, and Atlanta are all in the same pool for the next event with Seattle. So I feel like if you're going to try something new as Seattle, that probably wasn't the event to do it. This is the event where you need to get points. You need to get out of the bottom 4. The bottom 4 for champs is such a dangerous spot to be. You're not guaranteed any money. So if you're to get out of that top 4 seed and you're to ride that, and play how you're expected, you could at least guarantee your organization some money. But Seattle tried something new this weekend. It failed. But let's go to Group B knockout match. And this was these are the 2 teams I had playing in this round anyway. And this kind of went how expected. Optic looking so good in the Surge. TJ and Dashy playing out of their minds on Friday. At Slasher, doing just as good there. Everyone was playing so good on LA Optic, or I should say Optic LA. And Optic LA, they're really starting to turn it around. They had a really rough start to the season, and it's nice to see that. I mean, their org's kind of in question. And Optic is under new management. I feel like their fan base was kind of kind of stolen unfairly from them, from Chicago. I feel like there was a lot of shady talking about the old management, and it's not the same management. I feel like the Optic brand could still live on under new management, but that's a whole topic in and of itself. So 3-1, LA, Optic LA, really convincing. So now let's go over to qualifier matches. Qualifier match, Group A, was very one-sided, and I don't believe people thought this match was going to like this. New York, just coming off of a pretty hot home series. I believe it was, who was the home series? It was Florida. Florida home series. They made it all the way to the grand finals. They did fall short, but they looked really good. They looked really good with Mac on their team. Mac is a crazy submachine gun player, always hitting their shots. The casters love talking about Mac, and Mac is absolute blast to watch. However, they fall short versus the London Ravens. It wasn't a very close set. Their games are pretty close themselves, but it happens. It happens. Qualifier match 2. Chicago Huntsman versus Minnesota Rocker. I thought this was going to go to distance. I thought this was going to go to game 5. It did not. Chicago convincing 3-0. That's enough said. And then you get to knockout match in Group A. Group A, New York versus Gorillas. It's pretty one-sided. I believe Gorillas took a search. Yeah, I want to say they took a search. But besides that, New York's so dominant in the respawns. Mac just outslaying anyone. They ended up making 2 semifinals themselves. And the knockout match in Group B. I actually had this bracket match predicted to happen anyway. And we were able to predict correctly. We did think Minnesota was going to win the first set. And I believe the Optic was going to bounce back and win the second set. And they did. And they did it in a very, very crazy way. I believe the Search and Destroy went to round 11, but the respawns were super convincing. Optic, OG Optic, hold. OGLA, holy moly. OGLA, hold, and they go to semifinal to play London Royal Ravens. London Royal Ravens, very close set, very entertaining set. I had a blast watching it. But London, again, the twins, the brothers, I should say, they looked so good this weekend. Able to make it to a grand final versus Chicago Huntsmen. Chicago looked unstoppable all weekend. It was their event. They had to win this one. Dallas and Atlanta weren't there. They're playing with Pristini. This was a perfect event to make the roster change and to really show everyone what they had. And I believe the chemistry is enough. I don't believe Pristini was putting as big of numbers up as Gunless. Actually, I know for a fact he wasn't. However, I feel like the attitude of the team was there, and that is super important sometimes, if not more important. You don't want to have your all-star player, one of your all-star players, someone that you're not getting along well with, someone that's not showing up to practice. So I'm not saying that Gunless was doing that, but I mean, if you're not getting along with someone and you feel like the energy on your team can be better improved, bringing on Pristini was the way to do it. And that is our Seattle recap. Great bracket, always entertaining. Remember, you can always watch it on YouTube, youtube.com/COD League. You can find all the VODs there, so if you guys want to go back and watch any of the sets yourself, go there. Do it. They're good. It's the only thing esports, sports, that's happening. Support your city, support your team. All right, with the recap out of the way, today I picked 2 other topics. The bottom one's a very special one. It's very, very special. But I picked 2 other topics that meant a lot to me. Right now, there is a lot of talk about gentleman agreements. And if you guys do not know what gentlemen's agreements are, they are rules that are not necessarily built into the game, but both teams agree, verbal handshake, written on paper, not to use or not to do X, Y, and Z in a game. Right now, the MP5 is a very, very heavy topic. The MP5, if you guys do not know by now, is the best submachine gun in the game. It is probably the best gun in the game. Sometimes it outshoots or shoots just as well as the M4 in long range. M4 at long range, holy moly. But I don't think that's a bad thing. I feel like everyone's getting together right now and trying to nerf this weapon. They're trying to nerf the movement. There's talk about disabling auto tactical sprint, which I don't agree with. I feel like there's a benefit to your controller when it's on auto. There's a benefit to your hands. It makes the game a little bit more ergonomic. Tactical sprint is not something we've had before. And if you do not have a controller with paddles or even bumpers on the side, this is what I use for my tac sprint when it's not engaged. But right now it's engaged, so I don't even do that. I just move the stick forward and you auto tac sprint. It makes the game a lot more ergonomic on your hands. You can play for a lot longer without strain. So I feel like banning this is... I mean, everyone's movement is so crazy in this game, and we're already halfway through the season. I feel like the meta is kind of where it should be. I'm a huge fan of 2 ARs. Sometimes you see 1 AR, 2 ARs, and the rest are submachine gun players. And I feel a lot of people feel like the auto tac sprint gives too many movement options. There's also this movement option called snaking. It is where you tac sprint, you crouch cancel by double tapping your crouch button, and then on your second tap, you hold down and you have this, you lay down on your stomach, but it's this weird sliding animation. It's really useful to slide out of barriers, popping up from barrels. It's a great tool. Some would say it's overpowered. I just think it's a great tool. It provides, there's a little bit of a skill gap there. Not everyone can execute it, and if you can't execute it, it is something you should practice. You should Google snaking in Modern Warfare. I do feel like it's compatible. I don't feel like it's as overpowered as people think. Yeah, it allows people to get behind barrels, but if your shot's good enough, you can still rip them off that head glitch, or if your reactions are fast enough, you can still swing your aimer to the side and you can take that player out. I mean, if they decide to ban snaking, that's kind of up to them. As a spectator's point of view, auto tac sprint and snaking, they kind of speed up the game. They kind of make it entertaining. A lot of people fly out of the corners. They engage in gunfights you wouldn't normally think they would engage in. It allows players to be aggressive. And as a spectator, that is really good. I can understand from a player's point of view that it is quite annoying. I mean, I play against it online. Snaking's pretty annoying, but you got that tool in your back pocket too. It's not something that only they have. So I'm cool with snaking going away or staying there. The biggest issue I have with GAs right now is the MP5. They're wanting to get rid of the 10mm rounds, the Merc foregrip. The Merc foregrip allows for apparently the issue with it right now. Not apparently, and I know this is true. I don't even think it's necessarily an issue. I just think it's people are just getting this good. You can hip fire from a longer range. And it can be annoying again, but when you use it, it feels good. So people are trying to underpower the submachine gun because people feel like the submachine gun players have too much power. But I don't feel like that's the issue. I feel like if anything, if a nerf is gonna happen, I don't think it should be GA'd. And here's my real point on this topic. GAs are not good for casual players and spectators. It makes the game harder to follow. I shouldn't have to explain to everyone why someone isn't using a certain attachment when a casual player knowing that X attachment is better. I feel like we need to lower our knowledge gap between competitive and casual. A casual player should be able to go in and watch a CDL match and know what's going on and why they're doing the things they're doing. That's one of the beauties of esports. You play it, and sports in general too. I mean, football, you play it. Like, you play flag football, the only difference is really tackling, You understand the rules, and the rules don't change back and forth, so it makes it easy to watch. The casters are really having to nail down, and they're going to have to nail down if a lot of these gentleman agreement rules go through. They're going to have to nail down, and they're going to have to explain over and over again to the new people that are coming into the stream watching these tournaments, because they're not going to understand. So I think maybe from a player's perspective, I get it. You don't want the game to be annoying at all. You want it to be as fun as possible to play and as balanced as possible. But we're going about it the wrong way. I think if anyone's going to take charge and do this, we need to get the developers' attention, and we'd be like, hey, please, I say this, and obviously people have done it on Twitter, but we really need to get together as a community and be like, hey, please nerf the MP5, and give them reasons to nerf it. Just don't say, this is overpowered, nerf, this is overpowered, nerf. That is not how you get developers' attention. Give them a solution. Give them something to do. Say, hey, this is why the MP5 is overpowered. This is where it succeeds more than other guns. How can we fix this? And you present a solution to the problem. I feel like there's a more mature way we can go about nerfing this. I feel like gentleman agreement is not the way to do it. I feel like we're going to confuse a lot of the people in community. That's my take on the gentleman agreement. Let me know what you guys think. I'm always interested in this type of topic. This type of topic is not who beats who or who's better than who. This type of topic it does affect everybody. It affects viewers. It affects the players. But it's time. Gosh dang it. I got to rant. And then we'll see where are we at? Where are we at in time? Yeah, okay. I want this show to be around 30 minutes to a half hour. So we're probably gonna hit right around 30 minutes. Next week we'll have a longer show with another host, and we'll have some banter. But this week is more just me talking to the people. All right. If anybody knows me, you guys know I'm a Seattle Surge fan. Huge Seattle Surge fan. Seattle's 20 minutes that way. I got merch coming in I'm hyped. I'm super excited. I love the team. I'm going to support my area. I don't care if they're the worst team in the league. What I do care about, though, is the Seattle Surge brand. They are doing the branding is beautiful. The name is beautiful. The logo, it's great. The merch is great. Seattle Surge ownership. I don't know. Obviously, you're probably not listening. But if this does get your attention, this is what I want from you. I want you to host community events, please. Free, I'll do them for free. I'll host them for free. I'll even put up the prize money if I have to. Do something to get your fans involved. Being a successful organization and being interactive with your fans right now, there's a 50-50 chance you're the worst team in the league. Right now, way more than ever, is so important to interact with your fans and to really create a brand. Look at the people you have on your team. You have really good content creators. Do something with them. I like the videos you're putting out, but post your YouTube link. Don't let all the views go to your Twitter. Post a YouTube link. Tell people where to go. And when you host a home series, when you get knocked out on day 2, it doesn't mean you're off the hook for tweeting on day 3. It is your home series. Show some fanfare. Be interactive. Give us a reason to still be fans. Obviously, I'm gonna stay loyal to my team. I love Seattle Surge. You're the best. But what I need you guys to do is, I don't know if it's a budget thing, but get your social medias active, make some content, and give us a place to interact with you guys. Give the community a chance to mingle and talk. Obviously, we can't meet in person because of this whole COVID-19 thing, but give us opportunities to meet in the online space, and give us some free online events, even some paid online events. I would be down. Let us meet each other. I like your Discord. Be more active, please. Thank you. And that's it for the show. That's all I gotta say. Again, Seattle Surge. Love the brand. Love the team. Sometimes, yeah, the team needs to get it together. But you can be a successful organization by being you can still be a successful organization being the worst team in the league. You can still sell merch being the worst team in the league. You don't have to win championships to be the popular team. Create a good fan experience. Thank you, everyone who watched tonight. It was a shorter episode, I know. Next week, Wednesday, we will do some more bracket predictions, and I will have some team topics and another host with me. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys later.